Right, welcome back. We're still in Fourways and we're talking Durban 2022 and its legacy project, one of them, which is the Nation of Champions. And just to let you know, actually, this portal is already live. So it's the address is www.nationofchampions.com. www.nationofchampions.com. It's live, so you can go to that website right now, register. It's free, by the way. Register, get a username, password, and you can even start asking questions now, and they've promised to respond to your questions. So please start going, register, get involved, and essentially in that space you're going to find like-minded people like you who are looking for opportunities, and you can share ideas with each other. You'll get mentors in there, hopefully, as the site builds. And also, if you are a procurer and you want to get youth involved in buying, selling products to you, you can get onto this website. You'll find these young people who've got these services and these skills, and you can use that. And also, if you're young and you just need kind of education and help, this portal is going to help you. You'll get a whole lot of resources to help you run your businesses. So register straight away, www.nationofchampions.com, and get cracking. Okay, we're going to go to the floor now, but first place I want to start is there's a table number 9. We've got some young athletes at the High Performance Center associated with Tuks University. And I just want to get a sense, because we're talking about building champions, and you can see they're all quite young. And I just want to get a sense from them, if we can get a microphone, if you could just stand up and say your name, and just tell us a little bit about, I mean, you're very fortunate. You're one of a few that have been able to go to this High Performance Center school. What difference has it made for you in creating hopefully a future champion golfer that you are in the making of?
Yeah, good morning, panel and guests. I've now been at the Tuks Sport High School for 3 years, and my development from a normal school to where I am now at Tuks, it's been exponential. I've grown in the 3 years that I've been here from the stage where I was just a provincial golfer playing at under 15 level to being the #1 junior in the country.
Wow.
Under 19.
Wow. All right. So, what is it about being at the center that makes the difference?
I think if you talk about long-term athlete development, and you have a team of people around you, like a lot of people think of sports as not really a holistic view. In golf specifically, it's not just a swing coach. You have a gym instructor, a biokineticist, a sports psychologist, a short game trainer. You have a lot of different elements to it. And having all those people around you at one place all the time, your development improves really quickly and at a good rate, sustainably.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much indeed for sharing your thoughts with us. We've also got another table here, and I see some great names here. And I'm going to start with Coach Shakes Mashaba, I'm just wondering, you're having to, if we can get a microphone right at the front here. Coach Shakes Mashaba, if you could stand up so we can get the microphone to you. What do you need in terms of help, so that when you're busy looking at talent, you're thinking, oh my goodness, there's so much talent to choose from. What needs to be in place? What kind of legacy projects need to be in place to create the Neil Tovies of the future?
Good morning, everyone. I call this really ambushing. Eh?
Yes.
But thank you for the question, and I'd like to say to the young men there, keep going. We are really behind you. In terms of what we're talking about here, there's so many contributions that are coming in. And all of us will eyeing at the legacy of the 2022 Commonwealth Games. I mean, people will look at now, we are in 2015, and they say 2022, and they say 7 years, it's too far away. It's just around the corner. It warrants us to start now, not next week. I mean, if I've got to be talking about football, to get a player to play to the top, it takes a period of time. You hear the young man, he's talking about biokinesis, he's talking about all these things. That's what we need. And I was so fortunate. I've been with SASCOC for a long time, and I've seen what they're doing. And people like SASCOC suffer in terms of football side, but SASCOC multi-code sports, I think we need to back them up. Let me take, for an example, a young boy at the age of, let's say 12 now. He's got to go the next level of international participation. It's 17 years. So it's 5 years now between now. And we've got to employ high-skilled, qualified manpower. You don't need ordinary people to work on these youngsters, so that when they get to that level, they know what it is. That is why you find we're sitting with a problem of things like criteria. We don't know what criteria we're using, not only in football, in all sports codes. It is because we don't have these structures in place. Once we can come up and put this into place and we know what do we want to get out of this youth for tomorrow, I think our work will be made more easier. And finally, I'm saying this country's got a lot of talent and potential to do it to the top.
All right. If I could ask you just to pass the microphone to another ambushee, Neil Tovey. And I'm going to ask you actually not about what's happening on the field, because, you know, we see them on our screens for a long time, but actually when they retire, they're actually still quite young. Old for football, but actually quite young people. And I'm just wondering how we're preparing our footballers, our sports people, to get back into the real world, inverted commas, because they're going to need to find other jobs, other skills going forward.
Yeah, good morning all. Yeah, it's a critical area in our development, is that our focus now, especially at SAFA, is attacking the schools. We've got to get into the school program so that the athletes or the players are not only good at what they do in the sporting codes, but also be able to carry themselves as you through from education well after when they finish playing. And it's critical for us. So it's not just going through the schools, but also the university, the varsity programs. And it's critical that we do put those programs in the schools, and when we get them playing in the leagues, that there's life skills attached to it, and that there is an emphasis on education, coupled with the high school programs, whatever sporting code you are in. That you will be able to, because I think if you couple the education and your sporting quality, you become a better athlete. You understand the game better, you understand your sport better, and life as to become a complete person. So it's absolutely critical that the education process goes along with the sporting process, and that's going to be a big emphasis in our schools program going forward.
All right, thank you very much indeed, Mr. Neil Tovey. Thami, you've been quiet quite a bit, and I just want to bring you in this conversation. So, again, you know, young people don't know where to start, and I'm just wondering, how do we inspire them? How do we get them to stop waiting for something to come and actually just get going? And I guess, you know, websites like this will be a great help in that journey.
No, most definitely, Peter. You know, for starters, I think I'm not a sportman. I work with youth economic empowerment. But I think it is high time that we recognize sport as an engine that is able to do a whole lot of things in linking us as a community. I mean, right now, taking it back to what we're talking about here today, the Legacy Project, Nation of Champions. The heart of Nation of Champions, it's youth entrepreneurship. Now, here we are talking sport, all beautiful things with challenges that are coming from the floor and all the contributions that are coming. But you need leaders in sport, you need young people themselves. If they're asking themselves where to start, you need young people to start thinking, to say, here's the platform. There's so much in sport. You could have so-and-so playing soccer, but I could be behind the scene and doing things that are entrepreneurial. And things like Nation of Champions are here to do that. And not only starting some of the things from scratch, building from what you're already doing as different provinces or as government and saying, here we are. I mean, the MEC was just saying now, everybody has been, I think in the country, we've all, grew up to a notion of using sport as part of social cohesion. Why not see sport as a catalyst for building business or entrepreneurship? Now, we talk about facilities that are missing in sport. If we build more entrepreneurs, if young people become more entrepreneurial, it means we're not going to have those problems. It means business, the private sector we're talking about, they're going to see themselves part of sport. But not only the big business, even the small business of young people that we are building through Nation of Champions, they're going to be the part of the same community with sport. And that's exactly where they need to start seeing opportunities. But also not the other sectors of economy, they connect. Sport on its own does not, operate in a vacuum. It works in connection with other sectors. And that's exactly where Nation of Champions is going. And that's why we back it as government.
All right. Look, log on, www.nationofchampions.com, and start this experience. Post questions that you have, and you'll get more clarity on that. But start logging on straight away. Courtney Reed is on table number 9. You're also at Tuks High Performance School, High School. Courtney Reed has a question.
Morning, panel and esteemed guests. I represent Tuks High School from High Performance Centre, Pretoria, and we would just like to know what are the requirements or criteria to be a part of this program, to get funding and to move forward.
All right, so this keeps coming up, doesn't it? I'm going to ask you, Mr. Grevemberg, actually, 71 countries, you've seen a lot of different types of solutions. How do we make sure that she can carry on doing triathlon and judo? Because there's going to come a point where actually, we've discussed it, leave, jobs, etc., etc. What kind of solutions have other countries applied that Australia, New Zealand, and all these countries keep on winning medals?
Well, it is very, very contextual. And I think if you look at whether it's a school-based program, scholastic sport programs, or if you have that pathway, or if you have club-based systems, which is quite prevalent in Europe, they both provide different opportunities, or a combination of the two. The point is that if we want people to participate in sport, to enhance people's spirit, mind, and body as valuable contributors, not only to their national teams, but to society as a whole, we've got to invest in it, and it takes people and partnerships. It's the public, private, and third sector that have to collaborate together. What we see for those systems that fail is because they're disjointed, or one sector is taking all the blame and saying you need to fix this. No, it's all of our responsibility to feed into the system. Most recent experience in Glasgow, which I can speak pretty confidently about, is that the public, private, and third sector rallied around investment in sport and investment in sports systems for perceived outcomes. The result of that, for a number of the Scottish national governing bodies of sport, were new facilities, enhanced facilities that were not the sole responsibility of government to fund, but private investment came in because people came with good business cases forward. There was a market that was created because people were having the conversation, and there was a supply that was responding to a demand. So if there's a demand out there and communities want to use sport as a facility to prosper, or as a vehicle to prosper, then it's up to all of us, public, private, and third sector, to pay attention to that and to have the systems that complement that. And ultimately, we have had 30 to 50% increase in sport participation in a number of Scottish governing bodies of sport. Those include the Scottish Swimming Federation, Scottish Athletics, etc., because the plan has essentially worked. Now, that's certainly, every context and every situation is different, but not one sector is solely responsible for the success of the system. I'll keep coming back to this over the next 7 years. It is what we each make of it. We each have a responsibility to build awareness of the problem, but also advocate for the solution, and then mobilize the resources and the partnerships to make it possible.
All right. Okay. I'm going to try and move us along a little bit because of time. Vusi Kula is on table 15. Interesting question there as well. Vusi, table 15. If you could stand up, we'll get a microphone to you.
All right. Thank you, Ndoro. Firstly, I'm happy that I saw Mr. Shakes Mashaba here, because there's a rumor going around in this country, people saying that it was not actually the Springbok playing, it was Bafana. So I'm happy to see him here. But nevertheless, my question goes direct to Mr. I think Madoda. It says that I hear you, but I just want to find out that are you only going to concentrate on entrepreneurship only with the skills you're talking about, or is it broader than that? That's my question.
Okay, so are you just developing entrepreneurs or other skills in this portal?
It's actually broader than that. As an entrepreneur, you're not just a standalone, feature. It's not a standalone feature. A human being involves so many aspects. So in terms of the education, I think I touched on this, that it's about the human being. It's about the human soul. It's about how you actually interact with your community at the end of the day. And that's really where we're taking this. If you look at how champions are created, like the young man there who was actually from HPC, says there are so many people that add value in who you are. And as an entrepreneur, there are so many people that adds value to who you are, the mentors, that you have, the coaches that you have, and that's really where we're taking this. And maybe just to add on that, Peter, when we started Nation of Champions, we look at the challenges that exist. How do we build high performance centers? Government does not have a lot of money to actually invest in this. And we, as Nation of Champions, we're creating a market of young people that corporates and brands can start communicating with, and that's going to generate revenue. When that revenue is generated, it then gets plowed back to SASCOC for the development of these centers. Now, that is a creative way of looking at how actually legacy projects should be done for the future, because there's not enough money to actually fund this. They need to be self-funded.
Okay.
Just to add, Peter, I think we must say this. One, the legacy project of 2022, it is about sport. It is about community building. It is about building the nation and all of that. But we need to realize that, given the level of entrepreneurship in the country, we shouldn't be where we are. If you look at statistics, when we came out of 2010, our entrepreneurship level went a bit up. And after that, they also went a bit down. Now it was because of certain commodities or activities that were happening around that. We can build this thing, especially amongst young people, instill it to say entrepreneurship is one of the things that we can use to deal with all other issues. But ultimately, it's about nation building, it's about peace building, it's about sport at the end of the day. You're just using entrepreneurship as a catalyst.
All right. Talking about 2010, I know there's one person who was working on this Nation of Champions building up to 2010, actually. Nick Iberol, where are you? Stand up. He's co-creator of this portal. And I'm just wanting to get a sense from you. Nick, stand up, please, so that the cameras can pick you up. You've done a lot of work, a lot of research, not just here. I know the West German World Cup taught you lessons as well. Talk us through, when you were co-creating Nation of Champions, what was the driving force, the vision that you had behind this?
Thanks, Peter. Well, Nation of Champions actually has been 12 years in the making, and it goes back to one specific day, that is the 16th of December 2003, when Madiba issued a call to action at the unveiling ceremony for Water Sisulu, and he said, let us commit to our common goal, let us build a Nation of Champions where all of us are winners. When I go to the next life, I need to take good news to him. And ever since, we've been really working and propagating and preaching this concept. And as you know, throughout and before 2010, the World Cup, it was supposed to be a TV series that was featuring sporting stars, sporting champions, and community champions. And I'm very grateful to SASCOC and the team that it's come to fruition now after 12 years.
All right, and I see that Madiba left you one of his shirts. Dr. Nick, thank you very much indeed. Thank you. All right, okay. Table number 8, we'll find Sakumzi May. And this is an important question, actually, Sakumzi, because, and this is going to come to you, actually, and maybe even Dr. Sam as well. Sakumzi?
Thank you, Peter, and good morning to the panel as well. In fact, the question was drafted before they spoke.
Yes.
So it will be President Gideon Sam and also Madoda. So basically, my question covers reach to the public, awareness, and also involvement, and more specifically to Madoda, the content of the portal. So the Commonwealth, in my view, is that it is made out of countries that were colonialized, and then we are where we are. So the source of that understanding to our youth is it shared? Is it thriving and making them to participate and say, this is where we're coming from? More especially since we are in the Heritage Month. Does that also speak to that heritage of where are we coming from as countries, 71 countries, where are we coming from? Is that when they participate, are they somewhat taken to those kind of understanding and programs, number one? Now, in terms of reach and content, now the portal itself, it's a suggestion as well. Would it be able to cover all 11 languages, whereby when I speak to intrapreneurship, I understand it in my language? In Tsonga, in Xhosa, in Zulu, is it more speaking to me as an individual, as we have talked about evolution of human beings and interaction? Now, will it be able to cover that sphere and so forth? And hence now, when you are opening up for other intrapreneurship, so will the PR company say, I have an editor in Xhosa or Zulu, can I come on board? Thank you.
Okay, so 2 questions. The first one, Commonwealth Games. Do they have a place in modern society? I mean, you know, when they set it up, it was to foster goodwill amongst the peoples of the empire. And
where has it gone now? Well, just to give you a perspective, is I'm not even a Commonwealth citizen. I'm originally from the States, but I believe and subscribe in what the Commonwealth aspires to be. I ask this question to Commonwealth citizens all the time. Why is your Commonwealth important to you, and what does it mean to you? Because if it doesn't have a connection or there's no belief in it, then it will have no value. Typical response I usually get is, one, well, I admire the leadership of the Commonwealth. Her Majesty Madiba, Gandhi are the most common names put forward. For what? Well, the service, duty, and sacrifice. This notion of selfless leadership is something that is admired widely across the 71 nations and territories, and pretty universal. But then we have this history, heritage, and tradition of the Commonwealth that is both glorious and incredibly uncomfortable, yet still very defining. And I think that is one of the powers. It is defining, it is unifying, as painful as it may be, as amazing as it may be. And I think it is nonetheless something that we need to hold in perspective. But then there's a third sphere of what this Commonwealth is, and it's what is embedded in the Commonwealth Charter, and that all the nations of the Commonwealth have subscribed to. And that is an ambitious and aspirational Commonwealth that aspires to certain ideals and principles: peace, prosperity, good governance or democracy, and upholding human rights. Those are universal. Now, when you take great leadership with a common history, good, bad, or indifferent, and hope for the future, I think it's incredibly relevant. And I think that the Commonwealth has a very, very unique place in this world to be a trailblazing, forward-thinking movement where its citizens are helping to transform the world into a better place. And so when I talk about using the power of sport to achieve good things for great people, I think the Commonwealth has a competitive advantage. And, dare I say, I think South Africa is a fantastic, fantastic platform to show the world what great Commonwealth citizenship is all about.
All right. Madoda, I'm going to ask you to answer the second part of that right after this ad break. We'll be back to find out about inclusivity, language issues. Stay with us.